All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Stringer, thank you for the subscription on YouTube or for subscribing. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. All right. Zotobe, hello. Hope you're well. BMXEO sliding in the chat. See a whole bunch of the usual folks in chat. Hope you are having a good start to your week. It is Tuesday, June 3rd. We're not doing this at our normal time. Normally, I do Shipyard during the day, as you know, during my lunch break typically. But we're doing it at night tonight. I had a lot going on today, so switched it to tonight. Now that we're on the backside of St. Jude, which was an amazing time, sort of starting to reassess my schedule, may make a few changes to it. But I still think I'm going to keep the Tuesday during the day stream. So, um, anyways, hope you're all well. Today we are going to talk about variants. We're going to talk about other related ship stuff. So stay tuned for that. We are probably going to, or at least maybe attempt to jump in the PTU. I know there's been a lot of people having some really rough goes at it, but we may try later and see what we get from that. I still haven't really been in an intense storm yet, and I'd like to check the weather stuff out. I believe they just added it to Pyro 4, so it's possible I may fly to Pyro 4 and check that out. We will talk about a few things here. We're going to talk about quantum in just a second. We're going to talk about Starjump content, or specifically Starjump Crim content. We're going to talk about the variant that was shown on the sneak peek, which I have some thoughts on what it possibly could be. It doesn't surprise me that it's a variant. Based off what CIG is currently working on in the ship pipeline, I think we're going to see quite a few variants this year, actually. So we're gonna look at that, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Perseus giveaway. I know some of you want to hear more about that, but we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. You know what I'm going to talk about first, everyone? It's Quantum Vegas 2955. This is coming up really, really quick. We're only 38 days away. Hopefully, if you were considering going, you have bought your tickets already, okay? Just put the link down in chat. Tickets are on sale now. I believe they did go up in price because all the early bird ticket things are over now. So now it's $125, but it's going to be a really, really cool event. Let me swing back to the homepage. It's going to be at Area 15 in Las Vegas, Nevada. What better place to have some sort of Star Citizen, Bar Citizen event? Really cool group of people that's going to be there. We got DePoets as a guest host, Kim Ellis as a guest host from EE Studios, along with her husband Nate, who will be there as well. And then look at the host of CIG people. We got Sandy Roberts. Sandy Roberts is going to be there. How cool is that? I just posted that on Twitter. How cool is that? And she replied that she's excited to go. Co-founder of Cloud Imperium Games. Sean Tracy, Senior Director of Tools and Tech Content. Galactica and Xylo will be there, all from CIG. So that's going to be really, really cool. In addition to them, obviously, yours truly, Starjump Crim will be there. I'll be doing a panel on Fleet Viewer and possibly the making of an Anvil capital ship. Paul Shelley, the astro historian, will be there. Serious Fun as a moderator. Daniel Raymond, the ghost, the voice of Ray's Guy. Jesus. Griffin Gaming RPG. Griff and Serious Fun have been doing a lot of work to get the event organized. So big hats off to them. Commander Fran from Beacon Events and Nick at Night, who is the vice president of Bar Citizen International and just an awesome dude. So yeah, going to be an absolutely crazy good lineup of people. Some great sponsors, everyone from Cloud Imperium Game to Monster Tech to even Starjump. So going to be a great time. I hope to see you all there. Anyone in chat? Who's all going? Anyone in chat going? Nope. All right, let's see here. 1 second. Hopefully I see you all there. If any of you are planning on going or getting tickets, though, definitely pull me aside if you see me there, and we'll talk spaceships. It'll be a lot of fun. So that is Quantum again coming up really quickly. Going to be this is part of the Bar Citizen World Tour that CIG is involved in as well. So again, that's why you're seeing people like Sean Tracy and Sandy Roberts and stuff going to be there. There could be some more surprises. I do know there's going to be a lot of Star Citizen giveaway ships that'll be happening at this event. So and possibly a lot more in terms of surprises. So it's going to be a cool event. There's a Bar Citizen the night before. So the event is on Saturday. It's all day Saturday. And then the night before, that Friday night, I believe at like 6:30, 7:30, at the same venue, there's going to be a really cool Bar Citizen. So again, going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to meet Sean Tracy and Sandy Roberts. I'll definitely try to get a picture with them if I can. Um, and I'm going to possibly bring some very unique Starjump swag. We'll see. But yeah, if any of you can make it, definitely grab me if you see me walking about or milling about. Talk to me. I would love to meet you all and talk spaceships. So that is Quantum. Next thing. I know some of you were curious about the Prowler variant, or sorry, the Prowler variant, the Perseus variant. I was reading in chat, or sorry, the Perseus giveaway. Oh my God, it's too late. This is why I should not do these streams at night. The Perseus giveaway. Let's see if we can get that right. This is going to start this into this week. I am setting it up on Gleam. I'm just confirming a few things with them in terms of the ability to add tickets or entries to people after they've done the Gleam entry options. Because if you've ever done a giveaway or if you ever participated in a giveaway via Gleam, there's usually 5 or 6 ways you can get an entry for a giveaway, and you can rack up multiple entries. So some of those are like follow on YouTube or follow on Twitch or follow on Twitter. Some of them are visiting a certain website, whatever. Anyways, you rack up your entries there, but I want to be able to apply entries after the fact. So anyone who donated towards St. Jude will get additional tickets towards the Perseus entry. What I've decided is for every $10 that was donated by someone, they'll get an extra ticket. So if you donated $500, you get 50 extra tickets toward the Perseus. But for those of you that did not donate, which is totally fine, there'll still be ways to get at least 5 tickets. So don't worry too much. You'll still have a good chance of winning the Perseus. So we'll start that giveaway end of this week. And then that will probably run for a few weeks, maybe till the end of June. And then at the end of June, we will do the giveaway, and someone will win an RSI Perseus gunboat. As you know, this ship is in active development. CIG has said as much, and it's possible this thing could come out as soon as IAE. I don't think that's been 100% confirmed. I know a couple people said John Cruz said it, but I think it was more, he said it at dinner or something at a Bar Citizen. I don't. It's not on tape, the words coming out of his mouth, so I wouldn't put 100% stock in it. But I think it's still pretty likely that we'll get the Perseus this year. So that is the Perseus giveaway. Again, that is coming. That'll come. That'll start into this week. Okay. Into this week. It does feel weird that we're not doing St. Jude right now. I had to take off all the St. Jude graphics, which is a little sad. But here we are. We're past St. Jude. We had an incredible time doing it. By the way, raised over $24,000. And that was all based off the generosity you all in chat put forth. So big salute there. I want to thank the donators again: GearCon, Lazy Donuts, Bingo Winchester, and James from Icon City, and Mal Member, all donating ships towards a cause. So thank you very, very much. It was a great time. We did hit over 40K lifetime raised, which is absolutely incredible. I don't think Ender was expecting that, and I know he was pretty happy. I was pretty happy for him, and for us, and for you all, just doing a fantastic job like that. All right, so we're here to talk about variants. Let's go ahead and swing over to the the sneak peek released by CIG. This is it here, folks. I can maybe even remove the top frame here. Let me see, can't it? Yeah, yeah, there it is. Oh, it's right. It's covering up my URL bar. Okay. Anyways, there it is, everybody. That is the Prowler, by the way. If anyone was confused, it is 100% the Prowler. I'm not sure. I thought I may have saw someone in chat. Fang of Asgard says no. That image is a Xeon ship. They use those triangle iconography and paint as similar carbon fiber textures as the Santucky and Cartual. It screams the Xeon. So it's 100%. This is the regardless of the paint. It's 100%. This is the Prowler. It's been matched up already to the model. It matches 100% completely. Even down to these triangles, the Prowler does have some of that decaling work on it, just albeit in a different color. So if you were curious if it was a variant, while I will not say 100%, it does look most likely that it is a variant. I don't have Star or Blender running with a fully textured version of the Prowler, but if I did and can get to the underside like this, you would see that it's 100% there. There's been numerous people that have posted images though, images of the Prowler lined up exactly with this, and it's a 1-to-1 match. It's a 1-to-1 match minus the coloring here. So yeah, it's definitely the Prowler. Now, there's two things to take from that. It could be either just a full-on Prowler variant, right? And that could be simple as maybe it's a Prowler that's more heavily upgunned, right? And loses its dropship capabilities. Maybe it's a racing version of the Prowler. There could be 100 different things this thing could be. However, variants usually have minor differences, in my opinion, right? So at least true variants have minor differences. I think of a variant as like an Ares Starfighter, or sorry, an Ares Inferno versus an Ares Ion, or perhaps even something like a Cutter. There's different variants of the Cutter, right? It's still same basic hull design, only some exterior modifications and interior modifications that fit a new role, right? But generally, Hexamere, I'm just using that as an example. I don't think it's an upgunned Prowler. I'm just using it as an example. But generally, a variant to me is something that is still primarily based off the original ship's hull. Now, there's also ships that are inspired by and borrow heavily from an existing hull, but are really their own ships. And they may be their own ships because a large profile, or sorry, a large exterior silhouette has changed so much that it really warranted it being a new ship. A couple of examples of that would be the Fortune versus the Prospector, or the Asgard versus the Valkyrie. The Asgard, for example, is a little larger of a ship. It's got an extra wings. The engines are mounted in different areas. It's got a completely different engine layout. It's got a completely different back end. It's much more than just a Valkyrie with a few modifications made to it. So we don't really know what category this one fits in. It could be the minor variant. It could be a major, it could be just based off the Prowler in terms of its inspiration, but maybe it is very much a new ship. So we'll have to see. Easy the Goon says variants are becoming overplayed. We'll talk a little bit about that for sure. We'll talk a little bit about that, and it goes into one of my talking points. By the way, real quick, if you're watching over on Twitch and you haven't followed the channel but you like my content, please give me a follow on Twitch. We're getting up to that next follower goal, so I really appreciate it. And if you're over on YouTube watching over there, appreciate my YouTube community. If you're over there, go ahead and hit that alert bell, thumbs up, subscribe, all that, please. It does help. Now there was some text that went along with this. I believe it was all eyes on you, or I have my eyes on you. Chat, can anyone remind me of the exact the exact sneak peek text. Oh, there is the Kraken flying overhead, everybody. It's a raid. Angry PC Tech just raided the channel with 11 viewers. Angry, I hope you're well, buddy. How's your stream? We did have 2 people win challenge coins, Angry, and then with my other codes, that I paid for, I want to go ahead and get those done because I'm going to take them to Quantum Vegas 2955 with me and give one to Sandy Roberts, give one to Sean Tracy, etc. So, Angry, I'm going to get up with you very soon to cash out those 10 codes. That way I can award our winners and get the other ones shipped to me. So, Angry, I hope you're doing well, buddy. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Angry PC Tech, everyone, make sure you go give Angry a follow. If you haven't already, I will do a shout out here. There's the shout out. Okay, make sure you go over and give Angry a follow if you haven't already. Texas Horny Toad, hope you're well. Salute. Really appreciate that raid, Angry PC Tech. Angry PC Tech makes absolutely incredible challenge coins, everyone. I don't have my Starjump one up here on my desk because I just cleaned my desk and I think I put it in my storage curio cabinet thingy, but to make some great stuff. So, okay, what does it say? Luco says, I've got my eyes on you. Okay. There's 2 ways to read into that. I've got my eyes on you quote. Yeah, no problem, Angry. Hope you're well, buddy. There's one way to look into it is in that quote is obviously this looks like 2 eyes, right? It's got its eyes on you, being obvious. The next one is possibly that this is some sort of variant that has to do with scanning or possibly e-war, maybe hacking. I doubt it though. I personally think it would have to be some sort of gameplay that's in the game already to some degree. So I could see a scanning ship of some type. Even though we still are yet to get the really in-depth scanning gameplay, I could see it being. They would still release a scanning ship because it would still function in the verse. It would just be very much like the Cutter Scout right now. Altzilla says it's another news van type ship. Yes, yes. I would love to hear more about that, though. I would love to hear more about it. Altzilla says bounty hunting ship. So, let's talk about what the possible variants possibilities this could be. John Chaves says, I'm going to laugh so hard when it's just a skin with no variants. It's possible. It's possible. It would just be a weird thing to do because I've never done that before where they tease something and it's just a skin. Yeah, never done that before, not to my knowledge, unless someone can tell me I'm wrong on that. I don't ever remember them doing that, but it was the first time for everything. With CIG, I've learned to never say never, by the way. I really have. So let's talk about, well, actually, before we go really far into, oh God, Sandgroper, that'd be amazing. Why not call it the Growler? And it's an warfare version. Oh, that'd be good. For those that don't know, there is a Growler now, an F-18EA Growler. Am I right on that? That is essentially the E-War version of the F-18 Hornet. So yeah. E18G Growler. Thank you, Sandgroper. Thank you. I thought I was wrong there, but that would be really cool if they did Growler Prowler. I love that. But before we go into the variants, let's talk a little bit about concept ships from CIG, of which we have not gotten any this year. I know a lot of people have talked about being irritated that blades were sold. Oh, Mufasa 245 just rated the channel with 6 viewers. Mufasa, thank you very much. Hope you're well. Salute to you. Thank you for that raid. I hope you had a wonderful stream. What'd you talk about? What'd you do? Did you get up to anything? Hopefully you had a good time. Thank you very much, Mufasa, for trusting me with your community and bringing them on over. Those of you that are new to the channel, if this is the first time you're here, please hit the follow button if you like my content. We have a lot of stuff over on YouTube. We have a lot of stuff. Make sure you go to I'm putting a couple links down here. go to our Twitter, and then obviously we are the creators of the Starjump Fleet Viewer, which if you have not checked out, please check out. Did I spell that right? Is that not working? We'll see. But thank you, Mufasa. Thank you very much. Starjump, Starlet in chat. Salute to you, Starlet. We got Starlet and VMXCO and Grim right here. You get the entire Fleet Viewer team. So there you go. If you're a fan of Starjump Fleet Viewer, the entire Fleet Viewer team is in chat right now. How about that? Isn't that cool? Yeah, so we did not get any concept ships, which is kind of interesting. We haven't gotten any this year, which I think is starting to say something. Before Invictus, I just thought, well, they're pushing out a monthly ship essentially with every little content drop, and not every one of those can come with a concept, right? Invictus, Sitcon, IAE are your three big places where a concept ship would release, and we did not get one at Invictus, which was very, very surprising. Cape and Tortle says Starjump or Fleet Viewer is my favorite SC feature by far. Well, I appreciate that. So no concept ship. I'm sure. I'm curious to see what everyone thinks of this. While people were getting very upset about the blades and bomb racks, I was taking more notice of no concept ships being sold. Not only that, if you go back to CitizenCon of last year, when they showed off the Starlancer BLD, the Starlancer build, and the CSV FM, so the fabrication module version of the Argo CSV, neither one of those were sold, even though they were concept ships, right? That to me is very interesting. So again, while everyone was sort of losing their minds over blades and bomb racks, I was sort of thinking to myself, wow, has CIG turned some major page here with no new concepts? Altzilla says Paladin is the last concept. I think so. And when did the maybe someone in chat can tell me, when was the Paladin revealed? Was that last Invictus? Has it been, when was the last concept ship, in what month was that revealed to us? Was that during, it wasn't CitizenCon last year. Was that IAE last year? I can't remember. When was the Paladin revealed to us? MT Stunner says, I wouldn't be surprised if we do not see any new concepts until after Squadron 42's launch. Well, let's Sitcon. I don't know. Sitcon we didn't get any because Paladin was at IAE. Was Paladin at IAE last year? That seems more correct to me. I don't think we got one at CitizenCon because the Paladin wasn't talked about at CitizenCon. They talked about the BLD and the CSVFM. So everyone's saying IAE. Okay. Well, all right, let's talk about that. For one, I don't think CIG's done with concepts. I think what they're doing is probably pumping the brakes on them, slowing how many concept ships are being offered up. And I think what we're seeing is a focus on bringing existing ships into the game. And they've really proven that with the release of the Polaris and now the Idris. They've really proven that. Two ships that have been on the backlog for a long time, and they're now in the game, like it or not, right? In addition to that, I think they're focusing on variants, right? So you may be asking, why are they focusing on variants? I don't want them to focus on variants. Well, I think they're focusing on variants primarily because of what a lot of the silhouette video told us, right? Which was that they've got a lot of big ships in production, quite a few big ships in production, actually. To shrink this down once. I mean, while the Pioneer, for example, is not coming out this year, they've got people working on it. Some ship team members are working on this ship. We've got the Ironclad being worked on. We know it's in active production. And not only that, it's 2 variants there, right? Oh, Makov, that's a good point. The Starliner attack was sold at SitCon, and it was still a concept ship, although it was in active production. So, um, the Perseus, another large ship, right? Um, we know that's in active production. So just this bottom row, you've technically got 4 ships here. Perseus, Ironclad, Ironclad Assault, and Pioneer, all in some level of production, with 3 of those possibly coming out this year. Perseus, Ironclad, Ironclad Assault. Okay. In addition, they showed off a Starlancer silhouette in there. Now we are assuming it's the TAC because the people in here are carrying guns. I would assume if it was the build, we would have seen like a little drone flying around. It could be the build, though. It could be the build. I'm not saying it's not. Apollo in production. We know that. We have some kind of crazy looking ship from Drake. We know that's in production. We got this ship over here, which we're heavily assuming is. Oh, I need to turn off that stream elements thing. I got to get that turned off, everyone. Bear with me. Bear with me. I didn't know I had that still on. It happens. It happens. How do I turn that off? Oh, there it is. Turn that one off. Bear with me, everybody. I just got to get these timers off. There we go. And I think that's it. All right, I think that should be it. Sorry about that. Yeah, ignore that. Ignore that. Can I remove that? That's the question. No, I guess I can't remove it. Thank you, Stream Elements. Don't go to the Tiltify link, everyone. That's over. I had to turn off that bot. Yeah, so MT Stunner, yeah, even if this was a Starliner attack, the build is still in production. So that's where I'm going with that. Okay. We know there's still some other stuff, and I mean a lot of the stuff from the silhouette video has been released, to be fair. But where I'm going with this is there are a lot of ships in development, right? A lot of ships in development. So I think that is why it's going to be the year of variants. I think some of those variants are going to be kind of interesting, though. Ships like the Asgard, right? Which is not a variant, it is a unique hull, but let's be honest, it's inspired very heavily by the Valkyrie. And that may be what this Prowler thing is, right? Now, I've seen a few interesting speculations on the Prowler. The Prowler variant, I've heard possibly a cargo variant, which would be interesting, but I feel like awkward for a cargo ship, to be quite honest with you. So I don't think it's going to be a cargo ship. I think it's either going to be a scanning ship or some sort of. I think what did the leak say? There was a little bit of a leak about it. It said that there was a comment in Star Citizen leaks about it, but the leaks the comment was so worded so weird I couldn't even understand it. It's one of my pet peeves about leaks is they're so like they try to be very like cryptic sometimes about their posts. I'm like, just leak it for God's sakes. Anyway, they say here that speculation from everyone, and they put speculation in the word bold from everyone, is that perhaps this means it will be using tractor beams and carry ATLS style suits into a drop area. So there's some references to it as a utility ship. I don't know what that means. Maybe that means support ship. I'm not sure if we have any other ships labeled utility ship. Wastelander says orange for industrial. Yeah, again, could be industrial. One thing I thought we could do though, real quick, is let's go with Star Citizen leaks for a minute, and let's go with this theory regarding let's go with this theory regarding it possibly carrying ATLSs into battle. So let's take a look at that here. So we do have, thank you VMXEO by the way for helping me grab these models. We do have the new combat ATLS, ITKey, whatever you're going to call it. I actually don't think it's going to be called that. I think the ITKey version is just a version that we can get from Wicklow, but I think there's going to be a different version. It's named something different personally, but we'll see. But if you're wondering how big it is to the Prowler, this is the size. This is all to scale. You will see that as is, the ATLS is obviously too big to carry an Atlas. Or sorry, the Prowler is the ATLS is too big to be carried inside the Prowler and be deployed out these side doors, right? So that wouldn't work. The ATLS is just too big, right? Too big. However, if we think of this as something along the lines of the Asgard, things could get interesting pretty quick, right? For one, we would need to make it 2 doors wide just right off the bat. Just right off the bat, we need it to be about 2 doors wide to comfortably get an ATLS out. Now, let's don't worry about the height yet. We're going to deal with that in a minute. But it would need to be about 2 doors high on that, okay? So with that, let's pull him out of the way real quick. We're just going to get a little choppy here. Bear with me, everybody. While I'm doing this, though, let me know what you all think this variant is, or what this ship is going to be. I know there's a lot of opinions out there. Let's see here. Let's see if I can do this really easily. I doubt I can. We're gonna do some just straight up Photoshop or sort of some Photoshop style kit bashing here. Is everyone okay with some kit bashing tonight? If I know this crowd, you're okay with kit bashing. Okay, we're gonna delete that rib right there. Okay, let's see here. Okay, just a minute, everybody. Getting there, getting there. Heck yeah, chop it up, Hexamer says. That's what we're going to do, Hexamer. We're going to do that for you. We're going to chop this thing up. Did I let go of the piece there? Let's grab it again. Sorry, sometimes it's hard to grab all the pieces of a model, and I'm just using the hollow model right now, by the way. That's still not everything I wanted, but we're gonna take it. We're gonna take it. Actually, where is it? Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute, chat. Hold on a minute. Let's slide this over. Okay, and then let's grab this little piece here, which is kind of a weird piece. We're just going to delete this for a minute so we can clear the way. All right, let's see what we got under here. Now, if you create just kind of one, again, I'm working off for those who don't know, I'm working off the hollow model, so I don't have all the pieces here. I did not request this from VM because the man's busy and he does not have time to be entertaining all my requests. So now one issue here is even if you make these doors wide enough, so let's say you go away with 4 doors on the starboard and port side and just do 2 big doors, right? even then, while the width is good and can accommodate an ATLS, the height is nowhere near good, right? So what you would need to do is you need to do a major revision of the underneath of the Prowler. You would end up needing to do something like this. Okay, we're gonna get real photochoppy here. It could run out the back ramp. I guess it could, right? Let's go with these side doors though for the moment. Let's just stick with that for the moment, just for shits and giggles. Humor me, humor me. Okay, we're gonna go toot 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 toot, and we will see those. So what we're gonna do here is we're going to, if you turn this cube off here, let's take our ATLS. Let's move it interior of our Atlas, which you'd have to move it pretty far. I don't even think. God, yeah, because of the guns, you have to move it in so far. And then if you did bring in some additional geometry, you would have to kind of again, what I'm trying to see here is what you would have to do, what you would have to do to sort of even get the room for an ATLS to comfortably sit. Remember, it can't sit wall to wall either. I mean, it's really got to have some room to breathe there. Right. Where is it? Okay, something like that. I mean, I guess you could technically do something crazy like this. It'd look ugly as sin, but you could do it. Yeah, it's a pregnant prowler. It is a pregnant prowler. Dink. Okay, you would have to do something similar to this. And by the way, I'm not. And I'll tell you why I don't think it's what it is here in just a second. Okay, so rough bit of math here. You would have to extend the little cargo areas on the Prowler to something like this to accommodate an ATLS. It's not that it couldn't be done, but boy, would it look freaking weird, right? It starts, you can see right here, and sorry, I'm not looking at chat, everyone, but I will in just a minute. I'll catch up. But you can see pretty quickly how I mean, it could still technically work with these sections underneath it, but you would need a minimum of that. And that's not even accounting for the damn guns, which stick out super far. Quiet Chaos says, Graham, this is what you should do at Quantum Vegas, variant of existing ship. Yeah, that's a possibility. I'm looking at options. I'm looking at options for that, Quiet. I want to do something, but be relatively sure my laptop's not going to crash on stage. VMXEO says run out of back. Yeah, I guess it could run out of the back, right? How big? Let's look at the width again. Oops. Let's move it back here. I mean, see, that's the problem. It's too tight. There's no way. Because this does open up, but this back here is still so thin unless they alter the back in a major way. It's just so thin. Does anyone know, does these yeah, see how close the collision would be on that VM? There's no way. I mean, Raptor really lays it out there in the simplest way, right? He says, "Why would alien ship designed to carry human tech?" Yeah, exactly. I mean, why would it? It wouldn't. It wouldn't. Um, what we're doing right now is just sort of riffing on if SC Pipeline's information or speculation, and they do say it's speculation here, was accurate, and obviously it doesn't look accurate. So that's okay though. That's what we're doing here is we're kit bashing, seeing what would work. But I just think based off the changes here and how tight it would still be for the ATLS, plus how tight it is back here. I just don't see this being in any sort of delivery ship for the Atlas. It just seems completely unrealistic to me. And it's just too tight. It's just too tight. Plus, there's better ships to do it. That's the whole problem. Is I think there's better ships to do it. Hell, you want a good Atlas dropship? The Anvil Asgard, right? The Anvil Asgard is your Atlas dropship, 100%. And sorry, chat, I may have missed some chats. I apologize. Yeah. So no, I don't think I don't think you're going to be using whatever this Prowler variant is to drop off any ATLSs. Now, let's it's actually definitely tighter than I thought. So now let's look at what else it could be. So let's go back to our ship. I messed that geometry up. Oh well. But what it could be is, and I'm just throwing this on there for discussion purposes, it could be some sort of radar variant, right? Scanning variant. We could be getting again. It's a stealth ship, so maybe that would work nicely. Maybe it has radar and scanning, some sort of E-war capabilities. Maybe it, because of that and the component changes and some of the in the interior operator seat, because there need to be an interior operator seat to control the radar scanning functionality. Maybe you end up losing some of the drop seats. So maybe you end up losing half the drop seats, right? Maybe it could be that. I could see that fitting well within the Asperia product line with the Prowler. It's already a stealth ship, so signature, is already something that's top of mind with this ship. So why not do those scans? So I could see it being some sort of E-war ship. Shady Face says Prowler AWACS. Yeah, maybe something like that, right? Boozy3050 says when they had the Itkeys walk out of the back of the TAC, it would have been cooler to jump from the side bays like Avatar Mechs. Yeah, it would have been cool. It would have been cool. They came out of the back of the TAC though, right? Yeah, because those side doors are just not big enough. They're just not big enough. I agree, Rabbit. I think the Asperia Growler is. It's kind of funny because it's the one that makes the most sense, and it's the one that's got the funniest play on words that CIG could lean into. Spicy SCO7 says they just reworked the scanning HUD too. Did they just rework it again? Did they rework it? I mean, what was the? I need to look at the patch notes and see what that rework is all about. I didn't know it had been reworked again. I mean, going back to the image, by the way, the image is. It's still dark. It's still mysterious looking. It still looks like a ship that that should be somewhat flying discreetly, right? Just from the lighting and the look and feel of it, it still looks like it's supposed to be tapping into the Prowler's sort of core functionality of being a stealth ship. It's just now maybe it is a stealth ship that serves a different function than delivering troops. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a Prowler heavy fighter, or maybe it's essentially a Tavaran heavy fighter. It could be that, and maybe not upgunned because I know it's already got quite a bit of guns on it. But it could be. Well, what's a typical? This has got dual size fives. Maybe it has a different weapon loadout and is tuned a bit more for maneuverability. Maybe I don't know. Nacho says, Grandbrother, I haven't talked to you since before. Invictus just wanted to share. I joined the Kraken Owners Club. Too bad no Idris loaner for it. I had to buy one of them too. Well, congratulations on your Drake Kraken. Really great to see. For those of you who don't know, I did a Drake Kraken video with Tristpone My good buddy Trispone. Has everyone seen that, by the way? Has everyone seen the Kraken video that we did together? I can pull the link up for it if you haven't. Let's see here. Let's go to it. Let's go to it. It was great doing a video with him too, by the way. A little bit of a collab video. Let's see here. Here it is. There we go. Yeah, it's a little bit of a collab video that we did together. It was a lot of fun. I gave him this model to use. This model is essentially the cinematic model for the Kraken. We sent the model to him so he could put it in this 3D application so that we could check it out in first person and sort of do a walk around as we talked about the ship. I think there was one thing I said that was slightly wrong, but it was more just misspeaking because my mind was probably tired that day. I think I accidentally said the Idris was bigger, but no, the Idris is not bigger than the Kraken. The Kraken is much bigger than the Idris. But yeah, Rabbit says really enjoyed your collab with Tristan. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We want to do another ship. I was thinking about possibly talking to him and maybe doing the Endeavor next. I think that would get people excited. But yeah, no, congratulations on joining the Kraken Owners Club. Welcome, fellow Kraken captain. I don't have my Kraken mug here with me, but I do have a mug that has the Kraken logo on it. So congrats on joining the club. It's going to be an incredible ship. I can't wait till it's in the verse. And if CIG is to be believed, if John Crew I mean, it's not that they're not to be believed, but John Cruz said as much. Not that plans can't change, but John Cruz said that the ship is most likely going into pre-production into this year. What that would probably mean is it would follow a path very similar to the Pioneer. So it would, much like the Pioneer, went into sort of pre-production or went into full production at the end of last year, and probably was in pre-production for a period of time before that. That sounds like it's sort of what's going to happen with the Kraken. If it does go into pre-production, by the way, it's going to, I don't think it's going to change much on the exterior. So if you're a fan of the Kraken exterior, I don't think you need to be too concerned. I don't think it's going to change in any sort of major way. I think it could grow. It could grow 10 meters or so, but it's not going to. It's not going to grow like 50 meters. I hate to inform you if you were hoping on it growing even bigger. There's already plenty of room still in the ship, according to John Crew. It also just perfectly fits on an extra large landing pad. And I think it can only grow about 10 meters more before it's really hitting the limit of the extra large landing pad. So I don't think they're going to want it to breach that. And again, plus it doesn't need to. I know a lot of people have felt that the ship would grow so that you can land XYZ on the deck. But everyone needs to remember the ship is primarily designed for the Cutlass series to land on it. 2 medium ships. That's what it's built around. Going all the way back to the original design brief that John Crew and Paul Jones and Gavin Rothery all referred to. It's specifically mentioned and talked about that it's 2 medium ships. Okay, now there's other ships that go on the deck. I get that. It's got the 4 extra small pads and then the internal bays, but it's still meant to carry 2 medium ships. Yeah, so it's a really nice ship. I would love to talk to Gavin again and specifically ask questions about this ship and get his opinion on there. Gavin Rothery played a major role in this ship's design, not only in what you see now, but what the ship looked like even before this. So, yeah. Cosmic Troll says Kraken doesn't need to land planetside if they make the ironclad capable of docking to the bottom cargo bay. That would be really cool. I don't think that will be the case. However, even if it doesn't dock to the bottom cargo bay, it's still going to be really a nice bit of like synergistic gameplay, right? Because the top of the ironclad can open, and then the elevator for the cargo bay on the bottom of the Kraken can come down, and then you can easily transfer stuff. Scissorfell says, in theory, you could land a single caterpillar on the medium deck. That is true. You can. Sir Pickles has even tried that. So yes, you definitely can. Again, it's going to follow. It's going to follow the if it fits, it sits thing, right? It's going to follow that. But again, primarily though, designed around two. Designed around the two medium ships. Citizen Ninja says, how much do you think the Genesis might grow, and what kind of variants could it get? Well, I know the Genesis Starliner has a lot of. As a matter of fact, we can switch over. Actually, let's bring that up here. We can switch over to Hangar Link. Let's add the Starliner. So the Starliner is currently 85 meters long. It's pretty much the same length of a Starlancer. So if you're curious how big the Starliner is currently spec'd to be, it's currently concepted to be the same length as around the Starlancer, around 85 meters, 83 meters, somewhere around that. Bradley says, hi, Graham, love the video of the Kraken. Awesome. Glad you enjoyed it. That was a collaboration with Trispone, and we may do more collaborations in the future. The video is doing really well. So that's great to see. By the way, everyone, do not forget, if you're on Twitch watching, you're enjoying the content, hit that follow button. I really appreciate it. We are climbing the follower ladder. If you are over on YouTube, make sure you hit the alert bell, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff. It does really help. So yeah, Genesis Starliner, I do think it will grow. If I had to guess, now I'm speculating here. If I'm speculating, I think the Starliner would probably grow to, just to accommodate NPCs properly and stuff, I could see it growing to probably around 125 meters, like Carrack sized. I don't know if it needs to get any bigger than that. I don't see any real reason. It may not need to get bigger than 85 meters, its current spec. So there may not be a need for it to even grow beyond that. Now, it's about the same size, or maybe it's a little smaller, but around the same size of the Hercules. But if you look, well, the Hercules is usable internal hull on that top deck is not the entire 94 meter length. It's probably only around 70 meters, right? Just a minute, everybody. One second, everybody. So the Starliner is an interesting one. I mean, I think it just comes down to when passenger gameplay is going to come online. I still think it's going to be a while. It's just one of those things that I know a lot of people looked at that 1.0 gameplay loop, or sorry, 1.0 manufacturer image. Do I still have that handy? Let me check, everybody. Do I still have that? I may not have that ready. Do I not have it ready? I guess I don't have it ready. Bear with me, bear with me. Okay, I thought I had it ready. Let's check here. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it either. I guess I don't have it ready. Well, in that Star Citizen 1.0 image that shows all the manufacturers and stuff. The Starliner's not listed. I know a lot of people think that, oh, that automatically means post 1.0. It probably is post 1.0, to be totally fair. But there was a lot of other ships that weren't on there that are even already released, so I wouldn't take that as gospel. But I know CIG said that the Endeavor was post 1.0, and I think they said the Starliner was post 1.0. But CIG says a lot of things, right? They said the Idris would come out with Squadron 42. They said the F8C is something we would earn while playing Squadron. So, there's a lot of things CIG says that isn't necessarily, completely accurate. But what do you all think on variants for the Starliner? What all variants do you think? What do you all think? I mean, we know of some variants, right? Altzilla says Starliner also has an AWACS variant and lore, so there could be an E-War or scanning variant. We know there's a luxury transport variant as well, sort of like a VIP transport. I don't. Oregon Gamer Dad says Starliner needs to be a military NPC transport and exploration variant. So the reason I don't think we'll get an NPC or a military version is I think the military version is already in game. It's the M2 Hercules. I think that's what CIG thinks of as the Crusader military transport ship. However, I could see there being an exploration variant of the Starliner for sure. Obviously, NPC transport, that goes without saying. Let's see. Socially confused says, dang, I missed the first hour. Yeah, sorry, socially confused. Appreciate you dropping by, though. Appreciate you dropping by. Moomin454 says, hear me out, laser beam on the front. Yeah, everything needs a beam variant at this point, right? Mookin says, didn't they say there would be a racing variant, Starjump Graham, of the Starliner? I have not heard that. But I'm not super familiar with the Starliner. I mean, I know about it. I know some facts about it. I do know there's a VIP transport version. That's one thing I definitely know. I do know originally there was supposed to be spec'd like 2 or 3 versions of the Starliner. I just sort of forget what they all are. Maybe there's a stealth variant. I forget. Definitely a VIP and definitely just a standard personnel transport version, NPC transport version. Genetonic says, I think the variants for the Starliner aren't going to happen because of all that was stated a decade ago, and expecting them to be the same is silly. The current Crusader lineup was once Starliner variants. Yeah, Genetonic says it really well there. It's just that in Oregon Gaming Daddy says, watch the video the devs did. They mentioned military. Yeah, 100%. And that's sort of what I'm saying. Those variants did exist back then. I just think CIG, through the Crusader lineup being built out like it has, some of those variants I think have gone to other ships now. Right? So I think the military version is the M2 Hercules. Now, I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong, Oregon Gamer Dad, 100%. I'm speculating wildly here. I have no information one way or the other. I think that CIG is thinking of the Hercules series as sort of being that military equivalent. But never say never, right? Oregon Gamer Dad says Starliner will get to 120 meters on a rework. It definitely could. That's what I was saying earlier. I think I said max it would be like 125, 126 at Carrick size. I'm going to add a landing pad here in Fleet Viewer. Though some of you don't know you can do this, but if you uncheck official only, you can see landing pads here. We're going to do large and capital. Now, if I select all, go to top-down view. So this is the capital landing pad. We're going to move it over. Here's the large landing pad. Now here's the big issue with the large landing pad. The ship can easily fit on the large landing pad from a length perspective, but is really cutting it close on the wings. So let's say if this remained mostly intact on its design, and I'll be the first to say that that's not going to happen, right? It's going to change. It's going to get a heavy rework, so fully agree with you there. Um, at the very least, its wings are going to have to get tucked in, or its wings are going to have to articulate and fold in when landed. That's one thing I can go ahead and tell you about the Starliner now. So it'll probably have its wingtips fold. It'll probably have its wingtips fold. I started to do a Starland or a Starliner rework, my own rework, and I've lost the file, but it was really cool looking, and I was accommodating for the wings. Oregon Gamer Dad says, "You're never wrong. CIG changes the builds weekly." It's true. It's true. Let's see here. I'd like to see a rework of the Hercules cockpit area to match the rest of the Crusader lineup and the Ares, Mercury, Intrepid, Spirit, and ditch the MISC style letterbox window. It would look sweet. Yeah, I really like the Hercules. I personally like how it looks. My biggest issue currently with the Hercules is its landing physics. I don't know if CIG has fixed it, but it's a little too bouncy and all over the place when it lands. I think its center of gravity is slightly wonky. I don't know. Could be just me. I feel like when the ship first came out, it landed really great, and now it's a really problematic ship to land. Yeah, you bounce your chin off the ground. Yeah, it's just got kind of a weird feel to it, and I really do like the Hercules. I really do. It's a ship that I own the C2, so I do own the C2 variant, and I do love it. I guess if you were going to make it like if you were going to make it like the Spirit and stuff, though, it would have like a very different front end to it, right? More squared off front end, a much more squared off front end. The CG is too far forward. What do you mean the CG is too far forward? What do you mean by CG, fan man? Oh, center of gravity. The center of gravity is too far forward. Yes, sorry, fan man. Thank you. The CG too far forward on the Hercules. Yeah, I agree. It feels like there was a change there. It does feel like it's off from when it was first released. Let me see if I can find that actually. Do I still have that? Everyone, I know this is kind of a wandering stream tonight. I hope you're all okay with that. Let me know, by the way, if you don't like my streams like this where we just kind of talk wildly. Just talk about whatever comes up. I've had complaints before about that, but you are all my audience, so you tell me what you prefer, if you would, please. Stuicus says that's what I do like about your streams. Okay, cool. That's what Stuicus likes about them, which I appreciate. Yeah, I do get complaints. I do get complaints about it sometimes. Blurry Pixel says I like it. Citizen Ninja says same. More white knighting. Starlet says, oh, Starlet, I need to show you something. This is for Starlet. Wait a minute, where is it at? Ruben Saurus. Ruben, I don't know if you're lurking today, Ruben. But Ruben Saurus was feeling kind of crappy because some YouTube videos he had done were not getting a lot of views, and I told him you need to have thumbnails like this. Uh, yeah, Starlet, what do you think of this thumbnail? Is this good? Stuka says, have you seen how gray his beard is? It's true. It's true. It's true. It's getting pretty gray. It's getting pretty gray. Starlet, what do you think about this thumbnail? I'm gonna make these my thumbnails for now on. Star Citizen, recent temporary changes killed the game for good, and then me just saying it's over. I thought I saved this because I was like, I gotta show Starlet this. I gotta show Starlet this. It, you know what? It's not about, and I think Starlet would probably agree with me here. For me, for me, it's not about being white knighty or I got a big thing. Let me sorry, everyone. I'm covered in something. My dog it makes me messy. It's not about being white knight or salty, whatever those two extremes are. To me, it's just saying what I think, right? Um, Sometimes it comes across as white knight, but there's been periods of time with the game where I've really come down hard on it. You know what I mean? There's some stuff that I straight up do not like that they are doing. There's some stuff though that I don't think is a very big deal. Like for example, the whole computer blade thing, bomb rack thing. It didn't get me all riled up like it did a lot of people. That's why you didn't see any. It's why you didn't see any content from me that was literally titled what a lot of the content creators were titling it, which was CIG has crossed a line. It's all over. The reason I didn't do that is because is bomb racks and selling blades pay to win? Yeah, there's some aspect of pay to win in it for sure. But there's also some aspects of pay to win when you're buying a $1,400 laser beam pilot controlled size 12 torpedo killing machine that is the Idris. So I don't know. Pick your poison in terms of what level of pay to win is line crossing for you. You know what I mean? Diggable says I love based grip. Thank you, Diggable. I need to make a T-shirt that says that based grim. So again, it's not. In me saying that is not me saying that blades are not a big deal. It's just saying that it was hard for me to get too riled up about them because I already think about that exact point, the whole pay to win thing, when it comes to just ship sales in general. On the flip side, right? I There's a little bit of ickiness, right, with ship sales, of course, especially some maybe the marketing practices. But on the flip side, that's how the game is funded. So I really see both angles to it. And people, unless you're really salty, people look at that as you white knighting. When all it is for me really is I'm taking a what I consider to be um, more of a I can see both sides of it sort of standpoint, right? I can see both sides. That's all I'm saying. Um, I think one thing I will say in CIG's defense, two things actually. One, I know a lot of people, especially content creators, like to blame the marketing team and say the game is all the game decisions are being made by the marketing team. I'm gonna tell you right now, I've worked in marketing for 25 years. This is my 25th year in marketing. Okay. And I can tell you right now, the marketing team is not making the decisions. If you have a problem with something marketing is doing, you need to direct your constructive criticism towards CIG leadership. The marketers are just employees. Their job is to sell XYZ, and the prices and all that. That's not created just by marketing. A lot of marketing people can barely add. It has to do with upper management and the business bean counters there that work out those numbers. Okay. I'm not saying marketing doesn't have a part in it, but it's not all them. I've seen so many content creators trash the marketing team at CIG because they think the game is being directed by or led by them. It's not. That's not how marketing works. I hate to burst everyone's bubble, but that's not how marketing works. the for example, the people working in the gameplay capture team, which are doing stuff for marketing, they do the ship commercials, all that. They're not making decisions on how much things cost and what things are sold. That's upper management, C-suite level stuff. That's how businesses work. And whenever I see a content creator, especially a content creator, um, talk about the marketing team as if they're making some decision like that, I can tell they don't know anything about marketing. I've worked at the highest levels of marketing. I worked in New York City marketing for 25 years. Okay. At some of the biggest ad agencies in the world. It's just not how marketing works. There's the CMO, the chief marketing officer, will have something to do with how the game is marketed and priced and what that looks like. But your average marketing team member who's doing gameplay capture or building the website, they're all part of the marketing, but they don't have any say in that. They probably wish they did. They probably could come up with some really creative ways to monetize some things, but that's just the way marketing. Marketing is not where. Put it this way: the marketing team at Coca-Cola does not tell the CEO of Coca-Cola how to run the business. They can offer the CMO can offer up guidance and advice and stuff and come up with marketing plans, but even that's not done in a vacuum. They involve ad agencies and other stuff like that. And ad agencies are usually the ones that come up with the marketing campaigns, which is a whole third party thing, which I won't even go into. But where I'm going with that is for someone that's worked in marketing for my entire life, and you can see all the gray hairs here. I've been around for a while. Marketing teams the marketing team itself does not have that level of power. Mukin says, I think most people are concerned with the CFO from CIG being XEA, and that's fine. The CMO or CFO, is it Chief Financial Officer or the Chief Marketing Officer you're referring to? Either one of those people, Chief Marketing Officer, Chief Financial Officer, those are C-suite level management leadership people. And yes, they are the ones responsible for something you dislike if it's in that the marketing world. However, again, I encourage everyone to do stuff constructively if you have a problem with it. But here's my other point though on this, and then we'll move on. Even though I know Diggable likes based Grim. Here's the other thing: is that CIG, even with some poor decisions, I think lately has been quick to correct those decisions. Okay. And I know it gets a little tiresome sometimes seeing them make these mistakes, right? But at the same time, they have been course correcting here and there. To give you an example, the computer blades are already in the stores in 4.2. They're already in the in-game or in the in-game loot table. Sorry, the in-game loot table. Okay. The I know it should have been done from day one like that, but they fixed it. The next thing is, let's go back to this is a great example. The Galaxy, when that came out, that the Galaxy was not going to do base building modules, even though it was originally shown in a slide as being able to do that. It took one day of people voicing their complaints, and John Crew made a post and said, we will do base building modules for the Galaxy. That was another example of mistake made, lesson learned, right? And fix enabled. They're people. They're going to make mistakes for sure. If you can show me a game company that has not made a mistake, I will send you $100. But look, they do make mistakes, right? They do stuff that can seem a little icky. There's directional stuff. I mean, look, you know, a lot of people say White Knight. I can tell you some stuff right now that I think CIG is doing that's a major mistake. One thing I do not like that CIG does is they release these patches in a way that seem like it's a game, right? Like the 4.2 patch. Just because it has some gameplay in it does not mean it is a game. This is not a game yet. It is a tech demo. I will continue to say that. We are not at game level yet. Not until all those gameplay loops start having interconnectivity and that there is an economy backing things beyond people just sending money via the MobiGlass app. Okay, I want like an auction house, storefronts, all that stuff. I want gameplay loops to tie into other gameplay loops, all that stuff. So for me, I wish CIG would not push out these patches as if they were somehow game releases. I think that's and it got really egregious around around 4.0. 4.0 was really like they pushed it like a new game was being released by them. I don't agree with that. I wish they wouldn't do it. There's other things too. For example, I personally don't love that CIG is focusing on this year being all about stability and gameplay content. And or sorry, the stability I like. Gameplay content I'm a little iffy on because the mission designers are making all these things like a line and mine and all that, but they're one-offs, right? They're one-offs, and it's like, shouldn't they be better serving their time by building procedural mission tech that just can generate missions all the time based off environmental circumstances? But yet we're going to waste an entire year building one-off missions. Even if the missions are good, I don't love that. So again, trust me, I got plenty of criticisms for CIG. Um, but I will white knight where I think things need to be white knighted. And that's that. So based grim. There you go. um, Scissor Fuzz says it's easy to blame CIG as a corporate entity, and they also forget it's a group of 1,100 humans trying to work together. Yeah, 1,100 humans trying to work together that need to make money. They're a business. I've started 3 companies in my lifetime. They are businesses. You have to make money. You know what I mean? Um, the other thing I'll talk about real quick too, I'm going to pull it up real quick because I do think it's worth talking about. We talked about this a few times, but let me bring it up here. Let's talk about this real quick. I know we talked about the other day. CIG is doing gangbusters this year, like killing it. Let me turn on the percentages. They're really killing it here in terms of of earning. This year is a marked advancement in their earning past previous goals or previous milestones from the last 3 years. So from 2022 to 2024 were all 3 years that were mostly in sync that were a significant jump from 2021, right? But with 2020 being the year that Invictus was added. So I'm only kind of looking from 2020 onward. There's been steady growth, slight retraction in 2021, but really steady growth. Now, what's funny though is we've got a big jump here. And I think I watched Ray's Guide today. Ray's Guide has a great episode, by the way, where he does talk a little bit about marketing. But he talked a little bit his theory behind this, and he thought that the reason revenue was so good this year had a lot to do with stability, right, and playability. He may very well be right. I definitely think that's part of it, and it could be the predominant reason that so much money was made. Mookin says Ray's Guy is awesome. Yeah, he's awesome. I do like his content, and he will be at Quantum Vegas. He's just been added. There he is. Daniel Raymond, the voice of Ray's Guy. I don't know if he's doing a panel or not. It says he's a moderator. I'm not sure whose panel he's moderating. I'm pretty sure Serious Fun is moderating my panel, though. Let me go real quick here. Let's go to Grim. Yeah, Serious Fun will be moderating my panel. So, but anyways, back to the funding calculator. I think another reason that this year's funding can be so good is that there were 2 major milestones crossed at the very beginning of the year that I think gave people a little bit of confidence in the project, right? One of those was server meshing. The other one was Pyro. And Pyro, it may seem like a minor thing because okay, it's just another system added, but it at that point it had become a backlog feature that CIG had been talking about for 5 years. So for it to finally land and alongside server meshing, while maybe not fully envisioned, was at least a working technology to some degree. I think that combined with playability has helped. And the reason I don't think it was just stability, though, is that right out of the gate, before stability had even been established, each month they were doing better by a significant margin from 2024. So even in January, right, they were up by 44%, even in January. So right at the start of the year, people had confidence in purchasing, right? And Bob Smith says a shot of hopium does wonders. You're not wrong. I mean, I think that's very well said, Paul or Bob. I think that's very well said, Bob. I like that name, Bob Smith. I like it. I think you're 100% right. Hopium can drive confidence, can drive, um, continue to put money into the project. And look, here's the thing, and those of you that have watched my streams for a long time have heard me say this before, but I can't and won't ever tell you to put money in the project, to not put money in the project. The way I look at it is you all got your own damn money and you can do your own damn thing with it. Okay. I really don't care. I don't care. I'm responsible for my money. You're responsible for yours, and that's just how it is. But how I do it, how I put money into the game, is I wait for CIG to pass a certain milestone. Some of the milestones are CIG milestones, and some of them are just milestones that are important to me that I want to see in. And that can be different to everybody. So for me, for example, I followed the game from 2012 or 2012. Okay. I even bought a starter package off Kickstarter in 2012. Okay. However, I did not really get into Star Citizen until 2020. The reason is I was waiting for the very first version of Persistence to go online, and that went online in 3.8, which was, I believe, February 2020. I believe. Either February or March 2020. Somewhere around there was 3.8. Okay. And every time they hit a personal milestone that's important to me, I put a little money into the game. If they do something that is not, or if I see the project slagging, I don't put anything into it. I may get stuff with credit, but I'm not putting any new money into the game. Someone says, Dark Dragoon says, do you think the Idris was also a huge part of the bump in sales? To some degree. To some degree. Dark Dragoon with the follow. Thank you for that follow, Dark. Appreciate that. First person to send the javelin overhead today. Appreciate that. For those of you who haven't followed, please hit follow. Send the javelin flying by. I appreciate it. I think the Idris had so that's a good. I'm glad you brought up. So I think the Idris had a big part to play in funding for Invictus and money being raised. So much money being raised there. But I don't think it was because people were buying Idrises. I still think overall there was a limited amount of Idrises sold, even though there was extra waves added. And it sold out, of course, but it was still limited. People could only buy what they could buy, right? But what I think the Idris release did show was that CIG is fulfilling backlog promises. And whenever they do that, whether it's server meshing, Pyro, the Idris, whatever, every time they do that, I think there's a lot of players out there that go, okay, they took something big off the backlog that I never thought they'd do, so I'm going to put in a little money. You know, maybe it's $5 for a skin, or maybe it's $500 for a new ship, but they'll put in a little bit. I think the biggest day of Invictus was Anvil Day, the Asgard. This doesn't break it up by day, does it? Don't think so. No, it doesn't. We'll have to see how June is. June at a pretty last year at a pretty was a pretty healthy month. It'll be interesting to see what they have for us for this June. If it, like I said, if it's just that Prowler variant, I don't know if that's enough to get it off the line. Primarily because the Prowler is kind of pricey, but we'll see. It may be enough. It may be enough. You know, one thing I do miss. I don't know if Starlet is still watching, but one thing I do miss about Starlet being on Starjump Station is I always loved having discussions with Starlet, um, where she would kind of push back on some of my assertions, or maybe just sometimes having a unique viewpoint from someone who's been following the project for a long time. And I do miss that because I do think she always had some really interesting views. Still hanging out. I know you are. I know you are, Starlet. I just said I miss those conversations sometimes because I do think Starlet was really good at um, challenging the way I thought sometimes about the project, decisions being made, direction, etc. Not that I always agree with her. Sometimes I do very much. Um, Sometimes I had a different opinion. But I always enjoyed talking to Starlet about those things. Same thing with VMXCO. I think me and VMXCO are we tend to talk about the things we're very aligned on, especially when it comes to ships. So it's a lot of good conversations there. But with Starlet, there was always kind of bigger picture stuff, and I think it was just because she followed the project for so long. So you know, this is the great thing is when you have a community like this, or you have a good friend that you play this game with or follow this game with, it gives you someone to sort of go back and forth with, and challenge your own assumptions with, and or challenge their assumptions, you know, through discussion, because it is easy to get caught up in hopium. It's easy to get in a place where you're just mad at the game. You're just pissed off with it, right? You're pissed off with development. You're pissed off at the decisions CIG are making. And then there's times where you can just get so white knighty that you cannot see through the bad stuff, right? At all. And it's always good to have that other person that you can have that dialogue with, and bring you down sometimes, right? Either bring you off the ledge if you're too negative, or can talk you down if your head's a little too in the clouds and you're a little too white knighty. So Starla says, my opinion is pretty easy going these days as long as people are having fun. That's all that counts. Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at, because obviously there's stuff people do in Star Citizen that is not fun to me. I would never back the game based purely off of, you know, ship combat, for example. I would never put the money I put into it, but some people love it, and if they're loving it and it helps generate revenue for this project that I do hope one day gets finished, then awesome, right? Then awesome. But at the same time, at the same time, um, talking constructively with one another, um, bringing up points in a constructive way with one another is always good. And this project is one that I think if Star Citizen 1.0 does release at some point, I said if it does release, I do think this is a project that will be studied, right? It'll be studied in the future. I forget what total funding, where total funding is at. Where is it at? We're now at $837,075,000. We're definitely going to hit $1 billion at some point. We're going to hit $1 billion. Now, some people, and I get this, I do get this. Some people will say $1 billion and no game has been released. I agree with you. That's not great. That's not great. Something should have been released with $1 billion raised. However, let me, again, I told you I can look at both sides. Let me go to the other side. As someone who's ran my own companies before, both as owner and like company leader, Um, I sometimes look at that 800 million raised in terms of a business, right? And I go, oh yeah, a business with that now has 1,100 employees over, and they've been in business since for at least 12 years. Total operating costs over the 12 years with ever increasing overhead and all that. Yeah, I could see 800 million being what it costs. I don't look at it as like this crazy number sometimes is like, oh my God, they've raised this much. Why haven't they released a game? Sometimes I just go, oh, yep, you're running a company that's that big for that long. Yeah, that's how much it costs. I get it. Companies are expensive, very expensive. I mean, I work at a very small visual effects house now, a boutique shop, and we have to make multi millions of dollars a year to pay our overhead. And we're a small company. We're a tiny company compared to CIG, right? Sidely off. Hopefully, I said that right. Thank you for the follow. Sending the old javelin overhead. Um, Michael Phillips says, "What features in game structure are you most excited for next?" Resource management, crafting, base building. I look at those as all being a little bit tied together. Michael Phillips, and that is what I'm most looking forward to. I'm playing this game primarily to do base building, but resource management, crafting, engineering, they all tie into base building in a major way. So I'm excited for all that. Oregon Gamer Dad says, Graham, hope you read this, but ask how many people could actually do what Chris Roberts has done with his games. I don't think very many in the world, maybe 0.1%. Yeah, I mean, look, there's definitely a sort of following that Chris has, right? I was lured in by it for sure. I love I love Chris's vision. And I think we could easily say Richard Tyrer's vision now too, because I do think Star Citizen 1.0 is very much has a big part of his vision in there as well. But again, I think Chris is a big reason this game is continuing to be as successful as it has. It is a unique vision. My good friend Rick is a project lead at Bethesda. He worked on Starfield. I was very excited for Starfield. I get it, and I still think it's a great game, but it's not Star Citizen. I don't think there is a game like Star Citizen. Elite Dangerous is not Star Citizen. Eve is definitely not Star Citizen. I've played all those games, by the way. I played them for years. They're not Star Citizen. Star Citizen's not a game. We hope it will be, right? We'll see. Um, but there is no current game like Star Citizen out there. The only game I would say possibly a little bit is No Man's Sky, and I wouldn't even say that is the same as Star Citizen because again, we don't have walkable ship interiors and all that stuff. There's a lot of reasons why those games aren't parallel. Um, I like all those games, by the way. I do like all those games. Um, but no, I think Chris Roberts is unique. I really do. I really do. Mr. Flick says I sent you the daily average, Graham. Okay, let me take a look here. Just a second. Let's bring this up. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Let's take a look here. Daily averages here. Let's see here. Day 10 sales total. So this is on the Paladin day here. Oh, okay, here we go. Right here. Let me bring this up. See if it'll load. There we go. Let me save this. This is a cool graphic. There we go. So there we are, day one, Aegis and Greycat. But what this really was the start of sales, right? So 4.475 million. And then a little bit of a drop off because it was that initial rush. We did on Mariah Misk Day. It was a pretty decent day with Attack and Guardian. A little lower than I thought, though. I thought that would be a little higher. That's interesting. Anvil Asgard Day, though, killed it. People like that ship. I will say it was a good ship. I didn't think it was going to be, but I've really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Flick. Let's see here. Let's go back to let's see. What was that? I just read something. Where did I read that? Oh, Dark Dragoon 67 says, "Do you have any thoughts on Nyx possibly coming into this year?" Well, we do know that some Nyx files are in the code. This is the borehole in the new Levski, and it is in the current game build. Obviously turned off, inactive, not incomplete, but there is some code there that is the new Levski. It's very, very possible. Um, I wouldn't bet money on it, but it's very possible. I could see it either being a surprise drop of Nyx. And what it could possibly be is the story we're playing through all of this year, all that content driven stuff. Maybe it climaxes and culminates in us going to Nyx, right? Maybe we have to eventually track down some big baddie boss battle sort of thing, and that ends up meaning we have to go to Nyx to find them, right? It could be anything. We'll see. We will see. It'd be really epic. Very cool. Yeah. So that hole looks fine. Thanks you. Thank you, Ninja. Oh man, that's good. I love it. Real quick, everyone. I did want to talk about one more time. I wanted to talk about the Perseus giveaway coming up very soon. I'm going to start that end of this week. It'll be through Gleam. You do not have to have donated to St. Jude to be able to get entered to win this. This is specifically to celebrate, us hitting 20K on the St. Jude Play Live initiative this year. So if you all have been following along but haven't donated, don't worry. You're going to get multiple chances to get entries for the Perseus giveaway. I think you're going to be able to get up to like 5 or 6 entries for it. For those of you that did donate to St. Jude, you're going to be able to get an extra entry for every $10 you donated, so you get some extra chances. This is a Perseus I bought with my own money. It's not from CIG, not from the community, just something I wanted to do to thank everybody for their generosity. So again, really, really appreciate it. That being said, I need to send you all somewhere. It's been a great stream. It's been an absolutely great stream. I appreciate you all hanging out with me tonight as always. I do hope you enjoy these type of streams from time to time where I don't have a lot planned. I just want to like talk and connect with you all and discuss things. You all got a bit of based grim tonight, so hopefully you enjoyed that. But where I'm going to send you now, I'm going to send you over to Wikipedia. He's playing Elder Scrolls Online, so not playing. This isn't Star Citizen. It does work for CIG, but don't hit him with too many. Oh no, he is raiding somebody. He's raiding somebody. We're not gonna raid him. We're not gonna raid him. We gotta raid someone else. We gotta raid someone else because Wikipedia is busy raiding someone else. That's okay. That's okay. We'll get back to him. We're gonna. Oh, I know where I'm gonna send you. I know where I'm gonna send you. I'm going to send you all to, and I want you to give them some Starjump love when you go over there. I'm going to send you all over to Smithy Joe Bob. Give him a nice little salute when you get over there. Tell him hello. Give him some Starjump love. All that kind of good stuff. Starlet, VMXEO, salute to you. I love you both. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you to everyone who hanged out in chat. Hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of Based Grim tonight. I hope you all have a great weekend. There will be some more Starjump stuff that pops up on the schedule this week. I'm just sort of figuring out what days, though, because I have a few things planned with my wife this week, so I need to plan around that. More than likely, though, Saturday night I'll be doing a stream, and then this Thursday during the day I'll probably be doing a weekly chat stream. Okay? All right, everyone, have a great rest of your evening. I'm going to send you over to Smithy Joe Bob. Please give him some Starjump love. Do something kind for a stranger. Thank you all for your St. Jude support. And of course, I hope to see many of you at Quantum Vegas 2955. That's it for tonight. Salute, everyone.